Welcome to the deep dive. We often talk about confidence like it's something you build, like a muscle. But what if it's more like this inner treasure, something hidden, but it just lights up everything you do? Today, we're really digging into how self-confidence and courage get built, not from some, corporate manual.
No, definitely not. We're looking at children's educational materials, actually. Stories aimed at kids, maybe 4 to 12. And it's surprising how much these lessons about facing fear, well, how much they apply to us adults, maybe facing a new job or challenge.
Okay, so our mission today is to analyze how these stories teach this stuff, comparing like real-world struggles versus these big imaginary quests.
Exactly. And we should probably start with how these sources even define courage and success. It's pretty fundamental.
Right. So courage in these stories, it isn't about not being afraid. It's about moving forward even when you are scared.
And success, it's simply believing in yourself. That's it. Not about always winning or being flawless.
I like that. It takes the pressure off.
It does. And we see this play out through two main characters the sources give us. There's Youssef, who's dealing with very real stuff like starting a new school. The fear of being judged.
Oh, yeah, classic kid fear. And who's the other one?
Laila, her journey is more, mythical. She has to face this sort of magical darkness to find her own inner strength.
Okay, Youssef and Laila, real versus mythical. Let's unpack this. Where should we start? Maybe with Youssef. His situation feels very grounded.
Yeah, let's start there. Youssef against fear in the real world. The sources set him up as 10 years old, new school, new city after a move. And his big anxiety, it's all social, that internal chatter. Will they like me? Will they make fun of how I talk?
That resonates. It shows that often the biggest block isn't like, can I do the thing? It's what will they think if I try? The fear of being judged.
Precisely. And what's clever about these materials is that they don't throw him to the deep end immediately. No big presentation first day.
No, the first one is tiny, right? Almost incidental.
Totally. Recess time. A soccer ball rolls his way. He freezes for a second. You can almost feel the potential embarrassment, but then he just gives it a little kickback.
And boom, instant connection. The other kids invite him to play.
That little kick. That's the first crack in the armor of fear.
Yeah.
The lesson seems to be just act, even imperfectly. It's way better than just waiting until you feel perfectly ready.
Which, let's be honest, never really happens. It's like getting stuck on a huge project at work and realizing, okay, just write the email subject line. That's the light kick.
Exactly that. But then the stakes get higher. Talent day comes up.
The dreaded talent day.
Right. Youssef can draw. He's actually good at it. He wants to paint something. But that voice pipes up again. What if they laugh? What if they hate it?
So this is the leap from a small, almost private action to public vulnerability, putting yourself out there.
And this is where he gets stuck internally. The sources then bring in a supportive voice, his mother.
Okay, what does she say?
She shares her own experience, being nervous about public speaking for her job. And her realization was, the fear was only in my head.
So she doesn't just say, don't be scared. She normalizes it, shares her own vulnerability, and reframes fear as internal, manageable.
Exactly. It demystifies it. It's not some big monster out there. It's a feeling inside you.
So the technique is less about the act of painting and more about managing the internal narrative around the act. Does he do it? Does he present?
He does. He paints this picture of their city, adding the words, each of us is a little star. He gets up there heart pounding, but he does it. He stays.
And the reaction?
Applause, sure. But the internal shift for Youssef is bigger. He realizes fear isn't this enemy he has to crush. It's more like a small friend just waiting to be acknowledged, to be faced. He didn't defeat it. He acted alongside it.
That's a really nuanced take for kids' material, acting with fear, not against it. But the story doesn't stop there, does it? They test him again.
Right away. The bicycle incident. He's in a race, feeling good, probably a bit confident now. Then a kitten runs out. He slams on his brakes to avoid hitting it, and he falls. Scrapes himself up.
Okay, protective instinct. But the fall isn't the main issue, is it?
Not at all. The devastating part is the other kids whispering, he got scared. He chickened out.
Oof, that's social shame again. It almost suggests that feeling like a coward is worse than the physical pain.
It seems so in these narratives. But this is where Youssef's growth really shows. He doesn't crumble or apologize.
What does he do?
He stands up, maybe brushes himself off and says, clearly, I wasn't scared. I just wasn't going to hurt something helpless.
Wow. Okay, that's powerful. He completely reframes it.
Totally. It shifts the whole definition of courage. It's not just about being physically daring. It's about moral clarity, doing what's right, even if it looks like weakness to others.
So the new definition emerges. being afraid while protecting someone. That's not cowardly at all. Confidence means sticking to your values, even under pressure.
Precisely. Choosing compassion over winning the race. That's a huge lesson.
And does this new, more principled confidence get tested?
Immediately. The leader of his team for this big interclass competition, Omar, gets sick. Guess who gets picked to lead?
Has to be Youssef, but I bet not everyone was thrilled.
The sources mentioned some kids giggled like Youssef, the quiet kid. Him. So the doubt is still there, externally at least.
So how does he handle leading? Does he suddenly become this loud, commanding figure?
No, and that's the beauty of it. His leadership style reflects his journey. He doesn't boss people around. He gets organized. He literally pulls out paper, talks to everyone, figures out who's good at what, running, drawing, singing, whatever, and assigns tasks based on their actual skills.
So he's collaborative, treating them like partners, leveraging their strengths.
Exactly. Friends, not followers. And it works. They win the trophy.
And his big takeaway from that.
He sums it up. Leadership isn't about being the loudest. It's about having a strong heart and believing in yourself. He went from fearing judgment to leading others by valuing them.
That's a fantastic arc. He dealt with real-world vulnerability, social fear, moral dilemmas.
Right. But sometimes confidence feels less like navigating social situations and more like battling, a giant internal monster. Which leads us nicely to Laila.
Okay, Laila. The mythical journey. She lives near an enchanted forest, right?
Yep. And her call to adventure is pure metaphor. The village's fountain of light, their source of hope, basically goes dark. She's told she has to find the flower of dawn deep in the forest to restore it.
Sounds epic. And how does she know she's the one?
A luminous butterfly tells her she's chosen. And the message it gives, it echoes Youssef's journey. True strength isn't measured by size. It lives in the heart.
So again, the source material keeps pointing inward. Strength comes from within.
Consistently. And Laila's journey is structured as a series of passages, each testing a different aspect of confidence or trust. It really breaks down the anatomy of self-belief.
Okay, let's look at these tests. What's the first major hurdle?
Confronting internal doubt. She enters the path of echoes. Walls of glass appear, reflecting her image. But the reflections are whispering taunts. You're too weak, Laila. You'll fail.
Ouch! Your own self turned against you. How does she beat that?
She actively pushes back, stands firm and shouts, I believe in myself. And the voices just vanish.
So the lesson there is pretty direct. You have to consciously counter negative self-talk. Give voice to your self-belief. Don't just let the doubt echo.
Right. You have to assert yourself against it. Then comes the next phase, which seems to be about trust and how we relate to others.
How does that play out?
She meets Tira, a wise old turtle by a pond. The pond shows Laila a reflection, not of herself alone, but of herself helping others in her village.
Interesting. So it connects her quest to her community.
Exactly. And Tira gives her this piece of wisdom. The one who believes in others learns to believe in herself. She then receives the first light of trust.
Okay, I see a link here. Just like Youssef's confidence was solidified when he acted out of compassion for the kitten, Laila's growth is tied to empathy and connection. Believing in others fuels belief in self.
It's a really important connection the sources make. Then she faces maybe the scariest part, confronting fear itself.
How? Where does this happen?
In the Valley of Shadows. She has to cross it alone. And a shadow appears. It looks like her, but it mocks her, questions her strength, her motives.
So not just doubt, but fear personified as herself. How do you fight your own shadow?
She doesn't fight it physically. She closes her eyes, puts her hand on her heart, and focuses inward. She shouts, I don't need to see the light because it's inside me. The light just bursts from her chest, dissolving the shadow. The lesson. When everything outside looks dark and terrifying, your power comes from that internal conviction. You don't need external validation.
Rely on the inner light. Okay, that's pretty profound. Are there more passages? This sounds like quite the ordeal.
Oh yeah, there are a couple more really complex ones. Next up is the passage of storms. This one tests perseverance and compassion together.
Okay, how?
She's climbing this incredibly steep, slippery hill during a raging storm. She's exhausted, soaked, ready to give up, physically and mentally spent.
Been there, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Right. But just as she's about to quit, she sees some tiny birds trapped under a fallen branch, chirping desperately.
And she helps them.
Instantly. Forgets her own misery, risks slipping down the hill, and manages to free them. Afterwards, the spirit of the storm itself speaks to her.
What does it say?
True confidence is not just strength. It is patience and kindness, too. Helping others re-energized her. It took the focus off her own struggle.
That's fascinating. Compassion as fuel for perseverance. It's not just about gritting your teeth. It's about connecting to something beyond your own pain.
Exactly. But the final, maybe deepest self-test is the mirror of truth.
Sounds intimidating. What happens there?
She looks into a mirror, and her reflection just stops moving. It looks right at her and challenges her directly. Asks her why she's doing this. Is she just pretending to be brave? Is she secretly afraid of looking weak, of disappointing people?
Whoa. Okay, that's getting into some serious self-awareness. It's forcing her to confront her core motivations. Does she have an answer?
She admits her fear of vulnerability, and the mirror gives her the ultimate piece of wisdom, really the key to the whole thing in these stories.
Which is?
Confidence isn't about doing everything right. It's knowing that mistakes are part of you, not a flaw in you.
Okay. Mistakes aren't failures. They're just data. Part of the package.
Essentially, yes. Self-acceptance, flaws and all. That realization grants her the fourth light of confidence. It's about integrating imperfections, not eliminating them.
So armed with this profound self-acceptance, what's left?
The final showdown. She returns to her village to find it covered by this huge, black, shadowy figure that declares, "I am fear itself."
The big boss battle. Does she use a magic sword?
Nope, no physical fight at all. She just stands there, focuses entirely on that light within her heart, that unwavering belief in herself she's cultivated through all those trials, and her conviction, her inner light is so strong that the darkness just dissolves, vanishes.
Wow. So belief itself is the weapon.
It seems to be the core message. And what's really striking is how Laila's very mythical internal victory reinforces what Youssef learned in his grounded real-world challenges.
How so? What's the synthesis here?
Both stories ultimately say that self-belief isn't some magic gift. It's like a small light inside us, maybe just a flicker to start. But it grows stronger every single time we choose to act, choose to believe we can, choose compassion, choose to face the fear.
So pulling it all together from both narrative, confidence needs two things. It needs active effort, like Youssef trying out, or Laila just putting one foot in front of the other on that stormy hill.
The perseverance part.
And it needs that deep self-acceptance. Laila realizing mistakes aren't fatal flaws, they're just part of being human.
Exactly. Effort plus acceptance. And that framework, that's incredibly relevant for you listening right now.
How do you mean?
Well, think about it. Are you facing a nerve-wracking presentation at work? That's basically Youssef's talent day. It calls for that small act of bravery, that willingness to be vulnerable.
Okay, I see that.
Or maybe you're dealing with a huge life change, something that feels overwhelming, like Laila staring into that dark forest. That requires focusing inward, finding that internal light to face down the shadows of self-doubt.
So the structure for building confidence, small steps, moral grounding, perseverance, self-acceptance, it's the same whether you're 10 years old or, well, older than 10.
Absolutely. The scale might change, but the mechanics seem consistent according to these sources.
We started off defining courage as moving forward, not without it. If building that courage relies on these small, imperfect actions and that sense of doing what's right, maybe the question for you to think about is this. What's one small thing, something you know is right or important that you feel afraid to start? What fear is holding you back right now?
Maybe try use this light kick approach. Don't worry about the whole game. Just focus on that single, imperfect first step.
Something to mull over. We'll leave you with that thought until our next deep dive.